Hi everyone, I wanted to just do a quick demo for you of some of the new features of the ACT Edge, which is the Edge in College Prep's new online course for both the SAT and the ACT. So users on the online course can log in on our website at www.edgeincollegeprep.com, and they'll go to the top right and click in the login button. And any user who has registered for a subscription will get a unique username and password, and they'll type it in here, which will then bring them to their online dashboard. And in the dashboard area, we can see here the exact progress on each of the different components of the online course. So, for example, on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll see course progress. And one of the unique things about our online course is that we combine the SAT and the ACT into one course. All other courses out there try to separate the two exams and create more work for the student. But what we want to do is give a student the most efficient path to score improvement for either exam. And the reason why we do this is because when I created the company back in 2005, I analyzed all previously released SATs and all previously released ACTs and coded each one by question type. And what I found was that 85% of the questions on both of the tests have the same concepts. So students are being tested on the exact same material for 85% of the time. The other 15% is where each test differentiates itself from the other, and that's how we design the course and our curriculum. So as you can see here, we have an SAT and ACT section, which is what we encourage most students to start with, and then we move on to the SAT only material and ACT only material. So for the course material, you can either access it by clicking on one of these boxes, or you can click on the link up at the top where it says course material. When you get there, it gives you an overview over here of exactly how to maximize your score improvement with the course. And it gives you explicit instructions on how to go about utilizing the course and where to find all of the different components. So in addition to dividing it into the SAT and ACT, SAT only and ACT only sections, we also divide each specific concept. So, for example, in math, we break it down into arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and advanced algebra. And in each one of those, we have various different concepts. So for example, in arithmetic, we have percents, ratios, fractions, statistics. Each one of those concepts, we break it down into 3 different levels. So we have basic, intermediate, and advanced. And the reason why we did that is so that this course can be optimized by students with any starting score. So if you have a starting score below a 500 in any given section, you're really going to want to focus on the basic section. If your starting score is between a 500 and a 600, you should aim to start at the intermediate and work your way up. And if your starting score is above a 600, you're going to want to work on the advanced section, but always know that if some specific concept seems really difficult, you can always move down a level, or if you need to feel more challenged, you can always move up a level at any point in the course. So now all of the course material is found here in our right sidebar. So as suggested, we'll get started with the SAT and ACT section, which we divided into reading, math, and grammar. So if you look at the math section, for example, any item which has the video clip icon, such as we see here for overview and over here for a note on calculators, that will bring you to a video lesson of me teaching. And there are there is actually over 1,000 videos of me teaching on this site, which is tons of material that can help you improve your score. Each specific lesson has its own video. So for example, if you look at the different lessons, in this case for the math, we have basic, intermediate, and advanced. So let's say that we are looking at the basic section. That breaks it down into our arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and advanced algebra. If you click on any one of those, there you'll see all the specific lessons and drills for that particular topic. So under arithmetic, we see the fractions lesson and then the fractions drill. We'll see the remainders lesson, the remainders drill, percent lesson, percent drill, and so on and so forth. And what we recommend most students do is they watch the video lesson and then immediately try to do the associated drill, which will test them on the exact concepts in that specific area. So for example, if we take a look at the statistics video, and all of these videos coincide with our ebook, which any student subscribing to the online course will receive, so they can follow along throughout their subscription to the course. So if you click on the video, we won't watch all the full videos, but if you are interested, we can give you a trial subscription so you can test out some of them. You click on the play button, and it brings you to a video.
Now we're moving on to statistics, and the word statistics might intimidate you a little because it sounds a lot more complicated than it is. But the topics involving statistics that the SAT is going to test you on are really, really simple things like mean, median, and mode. All totally basic things that you learned a while ago. The most common...
So that's kind of the introduction to statistics. Throughout the 9 minutes, the video will zoom into the whiteboard and it will review specific sample questions that illustrate all of the different types of techniques the student will need to perform well on the SAT and the ACT. So once we've finished watching this video, and most of the lesson videos range between 5 and 10 minutes, this one is 9 minutes, you'd click on the Take Drill button. So that will bring us immediately to the statistics drill. Once we do the drill, we can, so this is an example of a grid-in question. So we add in an answer there. We can add in another answer here. And we'll continue on throughout these 5 drill questions. And then once we're finished with them, we will just hit submit, and we'll see how we did. So we'll submit those questions, and instantaneously, we see exactly how we performed on those questions. So with this, we see that we got number 1 and 4 wrong. So if we click on 1, this is one of the other really innovative components of the course. It's going to show us what our answer was, which we put 21. It'll then show us the correct answer, but most importantly, each specific question on this online course, and there's over 1,000 of them, has its own unique individual video explanation for that specific question. So all other courses out there have written explanations which are really hard for students to understand, but the video explanations really help students understand not only how to get the right answer, but why their answer was wrong, as we do go through most of the common mistakes that students can make. So once again, if you just click on the play button, it'll then play the video explanation of this question.
Vacation from college, Amir earned $120 per week, but he only worked for 4 of the weeks. And the question is asking us, what is the average?
So we're going to move on, but as I said, if you would like a trial to see some of the videos, I can definitely arrange that. And so a student will then move on. We can then go to question 4, which shows us another video explanation. And then throughout our subscription, we'll move through the entire right side bar. We'll move on to the algebra, where we have more drills in practice, geometry, advanced algebra, and then once we finish that basic section, we'll then move on to the intermediate section of the math, where there's even more videos and lessons for students to partake in. So that is the course material component. Then we move on to the practice test component, which is right up here in the blue bar that says take practice tests. And the last really interesting thing about our online course is that we have integrated it with the College Board's official SAT study guide, which has 10 real SATs, and the real ACT prep guide, which has 5 real ACTs. And the reason why we did that is because a lot of other companies write their own tests. But I find that to be a very dishonest practice because they often create tests of varying difficulty levels. And what they usually do is they often give the hardest test first and the easiest test last to show a very drastic score improvement that never gets actualized on the real exams. We only use real exams for our course, and all of those exams will give students a very accurate picture of how they're doing and how they're improving. So on here, as you can see, there's 10 SATs and 5 ACTs. This particular student has already taken test number 1 and 2 of the SATs and test 1 of the ACT. So if you look at the Take Test button, if we look at this test, it brings you to a page that looks like a Scantron. So we recommend that students do the actual questions on paper because that will mimic exactly how they'll be taking the test when they take it for real. But instead of bubbling in their answers onto a Scantron, they'll click on the buttons here in our online Scantron. Just like on the real test, they can omit questions, they can come back to them. But we do time the students for each section. So for example, as you see here, we just moved on to the next section of them, which is math, and that automatically started our timer up here. So it really acts as a built-in proctor for a student so they can really get an idea of how they're doing on the test, in addition to how they're doing according to the time restrictions. And so this is an example of a section with the multiple choice questions as well as the grid-ins for the math, which work exactly the same way that they do on the real test. And then once the student goes through an entire test, they'll then submit it. We won't exactly do that because that would take us 3 hours and 45 minutes. But they'll instantly come back to this page where they'll get instantaneous score results, and they will get access to their score report. So if you clicked on that review button, it'll bring you to the score report that gets auto-generated for every student as soon as they submit their test. And this is what a score report looks like. So at the top, it shows us our score breakdown. And then below it goes section by section and shows us exactly which questions we got right, which are marked by the green check, which questions we got wrong, which shows us our wrong answer, and then anything with a dash shows us what we omitted. Most interestingly, though, about our score report is that in addition to the answer key, we also have a code section. And just as I was telling you before, when I first started the company, we've coded every single one of the questions in these books by question type. So this is going to tell students exactly the types of questions they're getting wrong. And all of that information is at the bottom of the score report in our skills analysis section. So now in the skills analysis section, as you can see, we break it down into the 3 sections, reading, math, and writing. And here you can see the exact codes of each of the types of questions on this particular test. It'll show the student exactly what percentage correct they're getting for each question type. And we recommend that students start focusing on the areas where they have the lowest percent correct and then work their way up to their strongest areas. So for example, this student might want to start with 3D geometry, advanced percent, basic averages, combined ratios, and functions. And then move on to some of the areas where they're doing better, like number theory, lines and linear functions. We do the same exact thing for the writing section and the same exact thing for the reading section. And each one of the question types will have a specific section of the online course, so a student will know exactly where to go to find the lessons and the drills for each particular question. And as a student progresses through the online course, every time they do a drill or take a test, it will be recorded in the course progress section, which you can access here. And it shows us the date that the student took it, the number of questions correct, number incorrect, and it also allows you to review that particular time that they took it by clicking on the review button. So at this point, I'd like to thank you so much for watching the demo, and I am always available for questions. You can reach me via email at J like Jaguar, B like boy, at edgeincollegeprep.com, just like our website. And you can reach me by phone at our toll-free number, 877-499-EDGE, or 877-499-3343, and I am at extension 0. So thank you so much, and feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have along the way.